Hi, I'm Josh Bernstein. I'm in Italy, exploring the world's most enduring images of the Roman Empire, the Gladiators.
Forced to fight for freedom in a bloody spectacle, Hollywood portrays gladiators as prisoners, slaves, savages. Now I'm following in the footsteps of these legendary warriors to see how they really lived and died.
I'm sure you've heard the expression, all roads lead to Rome. Well, during the height of Roman reign, this was actually true. Rome was the center of the empire. But it was also true for gladiators, as this city and its world-famous Colosseum was the ultimate destination for gladiatorial combat.
When you say gladiator, most people think of movies like Spartacus, where in order to live, battle-hardened slaves had to fight to the death. However, newly discovered evidence suggests there was much more to these savage warriors than Hollywood would have us believe. I want to discover the truth about what gladiators were really like, how they lived, and how they died. The answers may surprise you. In 509 BC, Rome emerged as an aggressive and expansionist state, eventually conquering all of southern Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa on its way to becoming the most powerful and largest empire in the world. Despite the empire's collapse in 476 AD, Roman language, architecture, art, and law still influence society today. My journey begins by going back to school. Gladiator school. Should be interesting.
Posizione. Pendente. Pendente. Alto dritto. Alto dritto. Basso rovescio. Basso rovescio. Posizione. Pendente. Pendente.
This academy, or Ludi, trains men to fight just as they did 2,000 years ago in ancient Rome's most famous sport.
Alex.
Good to meet you.
How are you?
I'd give you the hand, but it's a bad thing in ancient Rome, you know that?
No.
You always gotta grab the forearm.
Okay.
And if you don't know the guy, just in case, give him a squeeze in the arm.
Yeah?
And then slide it down. But you always
Right.
want to make sure that the guy's got nothing
No weapons.
up his sleeve. Nothing up his sleeve, that's where it comes from.
Gladiator, welcome.
Alex Mariotti is an instructor with an organization called the Historic Group of Rome.
Alto dritto. Alto dritto.
Their goal? To study how gladiators fought through hands-on combat.
Got our new recruits here training. You're gonna be one of them, of course.
Posizione. Pendente.
And they always dress this way?
Pendente.
Before I can start my training, we head to the armory so Alex can introduce me to the weapons used in this deadly game.
Wow. Impressive.
Not a bad selection of weapons of destruction, eh?
Ah, trident.
And the net.
And the net, which is part of every gladiator movie.
Trident. You're trying to stab with it, and at the same time, trying to get the net going. This is a sica. The sica is actually where the word for assassin in Italian comes from, sicario. You can see, now how would you use it?
Around a corner?
Exactly, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the gladius, right?
Yep, that's your typical gladius.
This is where the name gladiator comes from.
That's it, comes from the actual sword itself. Because it has blunted edge, when you smack one off the other,
That's pretty good.
great noise, eh? And you
Nice.
imagine you're in an arena, you're looking down, you can imagine these echoing.
For dramatic effect.
Of course.
To find out what Alex and his modern-day gladiators have discovered about these 2,000-year-old games, I've asked for some hands-on training.
This is the beginning of gladiator school.
This is the beginning. These are the basics.
Fair
So,
enough.
first like this, okay?
Okay.
Drop it down, forward, one.
My training begins with the rudis, a wooden sword used to learn the 7 basic moves of swordplay.
So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Strike one for the head.
In ancient times, each gladiator was forced to swear an oath and surrender his life to his manager. Failure to follow their orders would have been met with the whip, branding iron, or threat of death by sword.
Two, drop the body, go round, good.
Unlike what we see in the movies, this kind of intense training could go on for a year before the gladiator was deemed ready to fight in the arena.
Step forward and leg down here. Good. Perfect. I think you've got it down to a T now. But what I really want to do is give you a full taste of what it was like to be a gladiator. So to do that, I want you to be as much in character as possible, and I think we're going to have to dress you up for that. Ready?
Okay. Spartacus, Maximus, Joshicus. This is it.
You look the part. You look the part.
I feel ridiculous.
It looks great.
This is legitimate.
This is legitimate.
Gladiator
This is a hero
attire.
gladiator. This is the professional. You've got to choose what he wanted to wear. You've got blood from your previous fights right there, just to remind people of that great bout against your arch enemy. But these are the kind of guys you'd be fighting.
Yeah, if I look silly, you should see these guys.
Okay, first off, you've got your retiarius. Trident in one hand, net in the other.
Retiarius.
Thracian, Murmillo, Apollocus.
Okay.
And this is the provocator. Then there was extras, like yourself. I don't know if you know what your greatest skill would be in the arena.
I have no skill.
Wait.
No.
There it is.
Why?
I'm not joking.
Because
Good looks in the arena were close to about 70% of it sometimes, because the ladies love the good-looking gladiator. So you wouldn't wear one of these, you wouldn't wear one of these, you'd wear something like this. Protects the head, keeps your cheeks, but at the same time, when you're going out, the ladies can see what's on show, and henceforth...
serious?
Yep.
Can we give it a go?
Sure. Why not? Okay, so...
Okay. So what do I do now?
all you have to do is think of it this way. You got to get close to me.
So I'm trying to stab you.
That's it.
I'm not gonna really stab you.
No. In position, okay?
Right.
Ready?
My concern is you've got distance. You can
Yeah.
hit me from 5 feet away.
That's it.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay,
You
so
got a
let's
weapon.
just see.
Ready?
So if I do this,
That's it.
oh, what, can I throw this at you? Yeah. This is not so fun.
There we go. That's it.
You okay? Did I hurt
Okay.
you?
That's all right. I'm sure I'll live.
I suppose this is where technique and training help.
It's clear that with such a range of weapons and techniques, being a gladiator took more skill than the movies would have us believe. And each time Alex and his students suit up, they're trying to unravel even more hidden truths.
That's what experimental archaeology is about. It's actually putting on the armor, the helmet, the weapons, and trying out saying, okay, this works, this doesn't work.
Since I don't have the skill, can we match some of these guys against each other so I can see a contest?
Yeah, of course.
From the moment a gladiator stepped into the arena, his life was in the balance. A fact that helps turn movies into blockbusters. But I'm about to find out if history's bloodiest sport was as deadly as Hollywood would have us believe. I'm in Rome at a modern-day gladiator school, where two trained fighters are preparing to square off. This is my chance to see if gladiators were as brutal as movies portray them to be.
So what do you think? Not bad for an entrance, huh?
Not bad at all.
Now you're actually going to see two gladiators fight like they did back in ancient Rome.
Let the games begin.
Saludo. Ave. Attenzione. Pugnate.
Wow, quick.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even with the size of the weapons, they still managed to get it.
And Alex, is a fight always to the death?
No, not at all. You had various fights. You had to disarmament. You've also got to first blood or to the death, of course, which is the most famous one.
Okay.
Alex tells me that under some emperors, as many as 90% of fights ended without a kill. In most cases, if the gladiators fought bravely, they could both expect to leave the arena alive.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good move.
It's all over.
Ginocchio.
Oh. He's doing the, as they called it, adlocution in Latin, and he's asking, did I fight well enough? Do I deserve life or death? Which point, you being the honorary guest.
This is when I do this for life and death?
Nope, the thumb up in ancient Rome was when you saw a hot lady walking by and you didn't wolf whistle, you showed her this, which was a phallic symbol. So that,
For real?
completely up, yep.
I thought that was, he lives.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing, it's the movies, right? What you did was you extended your hand out and you either put it down for death, that, or that. What are you gonna do, Josh?
I think Joshicus goes with life.
Life it is. Vita.
Joshicus is feeling good today. It's a surprise to find out that some losers left the arena with their lives. But if gladiators' training gave their lives value, I want to know how they got to live them. Hollywood would have us believe it was in cages and squalor. But to see the truth, I'm heading to the Ludus Magnus. Originally built by Emperor Domitian between 81 and 96 AD, the Ludus Magnus was the largest of 4 training centers and gladiator residences in Rome. Darius.
Hi, Jeff.
I've arranged to meet Darius Arya, an expert in ancient Roman culture, so I can learn what life was like for the gladiators who lived here.
So here we are on the arena floor,
Okay.
and it's only partially excavated, but we get a sense of a very large arena. You're going to have to imagine many gladiators fighting, training, getting that performance just right.
Built in the Colosseum's shadow, these grounds were home to the empire's best gladiators. In Rome's strict hierarchical society, these warriors lived to entertain the wealthy Roman aristocrats, government officials, and high-ranking military. Officially treated as slaves, mere properties, gladiators ranked at the bottom of the lowest class. As far as what I'm seeing, the bricks that are exposed today, is that what we would have seen back then?
No, it would have been something much more magnificent. If we take a look right here, the Romans covered all of their structures made out of brick with something like fresco, or in this case, we actually had marble veneer. And you probably were in the most lavishly decorated school in all the ancient world.
Darius tells me that most gladiator schools were owned and controlled by the emperor, which meant the facilities, especially here in Rome, had to live up to imperial expectations.
So in the course of the excavation, they find bits and pieces that were not hauled away for some other purpose.
This is it here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of it. And that's the sort of thing that would have been affixed to the wall. Some pieces of column as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Marble all over this wall, right?
and that's right.
This would have been gleaming white and gorgeous. Huh. And yet these are slaves.
That's the irony, is that you're giving all this attention to someone who's at the lowest form of society.
Looking around at the ruins of this once regal complex, I'm learning that life as a professional gladiator may have been more comfortable than Hollywood movies suggest. So this is one of the gladiators' rooms.
That's right. We think that this could accommodate 4, maybe 5 beds.
Did you ever get a solo room?
That really depends on your status. How much money are you making for your owner?
Okay. So with an increase in status, you got better living accommodation.
Right. If you're really a megastar, you could have one of these all to yourself.
But while the gladiators were training, not just at the Ludus Magnus, but at any school, were they allowed to have fun?
Yeah, I mean, they had an allowance, and they could spend that allowance on getting drunk, on spending it with a prostitute. If they had a lot of status and clout, they could go to the baths, get a massage, get a rub down.
They could leave.
Yeah, there could be some freedom of movement, and they could be going to other parts of the city. That was possible.
But then at the end of the event, or at the end of most days, they were back in the barracks.
They still belong to somebody, and that somebody wants to ultimately know where they are and keep tabs on them.
The popular image of a gladiator as a vicious barbarian is quickly being replaced by that of a well-trained warrior who reaped the benefits of success. I'm now traveling south to Pompeii, a city steeped in gladiatorial history. It was here that the first amphitheater was built, around 80 BC. And I'm hopeful that by coming here, I can get a better sense of who these gladiators were. The explosion of Vesuvius in 79 AD created, in effect, a time capsule, a window into the world of the people here at Pompeii. Helping me explore this ancient city is Cornell University professor Barry Strauss.
These are the barracks.
Yes, these are the gladiatorial barracks where gladiators lived and trained.
Like the Ludus Magnus.
Like the Ludus Magnus in Rome, yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that we found here that's so interesting is rosters, the names of the gladiators who trained here. And these rosters are important because they confirm for us that some of the gladiators, rather than being slaves, were actually free men and Roman citizens.
Means what? I thought all gladiators were slaves.
No, most gladiators were slaves, but quite a large number, maybe a third of gladiators were citizens. So they'd voluntarily give up their freedom for a period of years in order to be gladiators.
Because they wanted to be.
They wanted to be gladiators, yes.
It's hard to see why free citizens would sign away their rights for the tough life of a gladiator. But Barry tells me that a discovery on the walls of Pompeii might hold the key. I'm in Pompeii, where my quest to discover the truth behind Hollywood's portrayal of gladiators as savage renegades has turned up some interesting facts. Here, the allure of a gladiator's lifestyle was so strong that free citizens were willing to sign away all their rights for the challenge of the arena. And archaeologist Barry Strauss thinks he knows why. Celebrity status.
It would be an enormous thrill to be a part of the gladiator's life. There were people who were drawn by the celebrity, drawn by the thrill of the violence, drawn by the applause, and in some cases, even drawn by the money.
Archaeologists have found signs of the gladiators' celebrity status all over Pompeii.
You know, the streets of Pompeii are full of posters, like this one, advertising elections or upcoming gladiatorial events, where we can actually see some evidence of what this cult of celebrity of gladiators is all about.
So these are like billboards on the main drag.
Yep.
And they would have been rotated on a regular basis.
Exactly. And they give us a lot of information about the numbers who typically fought in a game, which would typically be 20 pairs of gladiators.
That's great.
Well, here we are.
Signs of the gladiators' celebrity status don't stop there. The city is also covered in graffiti written by crazed fans.
See? Somebody has actually scratched in here a scene of gladiatorial combat. Two gladiators.
You're saying this was drawn by whom?
By hardcore fans.
Groupies.
Yeah, groupies. It's a sign of their passion for the sport. In its own way, it's a bit like old-time baseball cards, or this is their website, you know, where they can express what they think about gladiators.
Clearly, life as a gladiator provided a level of renown. As we continue to tour the city, I can see how Pompeii's citizens gave their gladiators cult status.
Welcome to the home of Obelius Firmus.
Nice home.
Yeah. This was
Big?
a rich.
It's really big.
Yeah, this is a rich man's house. This is a bedroom, and we assume that it belonged to a son of the family. Look around and you can see how beautifully it's decorated. Okay, and if you come over here, we're going to see that there's something very unusual about this room. Look at what the inhabitant of this bedroom has done.
That's a gladiator.
It's a gladiator.
It's actually a pretty good drawing.
It's a very good drawing.
And do we know who did this?
We guess that it was a teenage boy living in this room. We guess that because of the height of the figures. If it was an adult who'd done it, it would have been much higher.
Are there any more?
Oh yes, there are quite a few more in this room.
The details in these drawings show the artist had a great passion for the sport. However, for a young boy coming from great wealth, his fascination with gladiators could only go so far.
It was really taking a walk on the wild side to become a gladiator. It's a non-respectable, wild way to gain status and wealth in Roman society. And even too much interest in a gladiator was taking a walk on the wild side.
So the gladiator occupied, in a sense, two different roles. On one hand, you were courageous, and
Yes.
that gave you a certain aura
Yes.
that people respected. But yet, at the same time, you were sort of like lower than prostitutes.
Absolutely.
The drawings and records left by the fans in Pompeii reveal an atmosphere so exciting that free men were willing to live as slaves to be a part of it. It's a far cry from the broken warriors Hollywood films portray. At this point, I've yet to uncover any records from the gladiators themselves. But all that is about to change. I'm on my way to the Roman city of Ephesus in Turkey. It was here where archaeologists recently made an amazing discovery, a mass graveyard that might contain the bones of gladiators. 10 times the size of Pompeii, Ephesus was the gateway into Asia Minor and one of the most important cities in the Age of Antiquity. Roughly 2,000 years ago, Ephesus was also the home of the Temple of Artemis. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, it was just a short distance from a 25,000-seat gladiator arena. While the temple was destroyed by the Goths in 262 AD, much of the arena remains. And it's here that I'm meeting Sabine Lodstetter from the Austrian Academy of Sciences. Was the population of gladiators here in Ephesus considerable?
Yes, it was quite considerable.
Sabine is in Ephesus helping to unlock mysteries from the Roman Empire.
We have the impression that some of these gladiators were really heroes here in Ephesus during the 2nd and the 3rd century AD, comparable to soccer heroes today like Diego Maradona or David Beckham.
And it was the major discovery that was made by you and your colleagues here that really put Ephesus gladiators on the map.
This was a big surprise. We found graves of gladiators here in the neighborhood of Ephesus, outside the city.
What Sabine and her colleagues found was the first discovery of gladiator bones. But the big surprise is what the bones reveal about a gladiator's lifestyle. During the Roman Empire, Ephesus became the most important city in Asia Minor. Home to one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis. It was here that a team of archaeologists made an incredible discovery. For the first time ever, scientists believe they've identified an ancient gladiator graveyard, and that they have the bones to prove it.
A couple of years ago, we started an excavation project to get more information about the pathway from the Temple of Artemis to the city of Ephesus.
The processional path leading from the city to the Temple of Artemis was important because it was used for significant religious parades. So Sabine, if we were to turn back the clock, we would have been standing on the processional pathway.
Exactly.
There'd be columns here?
Yes.
Both sides?
Here, both sides.
Okay, a roof, and it went towards the Temple of Artemis.
Yes. And in this part of the excavation, we later on found the graveyard.
So the pathway came to just here, and the graves next to it. Is this special, having the graves so close to a procession?
It's very special because it was a very expensive place. You had to pay for the place for the burial.
I guess I would have thought that gladiators, being slaves, being lowest of the low class, once they're dead and brought out of the arena, put them in a trench somewhere and let the vultures pick at the bones.
Yes, and that was our big surprise.
This discovery once again openly challenges the popular image of gladiators as simply insignificant warriors. But how can we be certain these are gladiator remains? To find out, I'm heading to the Ephesus Museum to meet Dr. Fabian Kantz. So this is one of the famous tombstones.
Exactly. As you can see, there is one shield on the left side, and also this helmet. This helmet is a gladiator helmet.
So this is the gladiator himself.
Yeah.
What is this?
This is a palm leaf, which is a sign of victory.
So he was a good gladiator.
He at least won one fight.
And the text itself says anything?
The text itself allows us to give this gladiator even a name, because it says that Hymnis dedicated this gravestone to her husband, Balumbus.
Wow.
So we know this gladiator, the name of this gladiator was Balumbus.
And you said his wife made this?
Yeah, his wife Hymnis made it. Sometimes people think Gladiator haven't had a social life, but he was embedded in at least in a marriage with a Roman wife.
The paradox that is a gladiator's life, slaves with celebrity status, continues to grow with each piece of evidence. But what can the gladiator's bones reveal about them?
We found this cervicalis bone with a very tiny scratch here.
But this means something.
That means the gladiators must have come like this.
This goes this way, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like this.
Yeah, it came in like this.
Fabian tells me we know from Roman mosaics that this injury is unique. It's the traditional mark of a gladiator execution.
We found one skull with two lesions. You see one here and one here.
Here
And here.
here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you take the trident, it fits in this.
Oh, look at that. It's the three-prong attack from the trident, a weapon used exclusively by the gladiator.
We already knew a trident is not used from the Roman army.
That's why we know these guys weren't soldiers, these were gladiators.
Yeah.
Unless it was a fisherman on a rampage.
Yes, but I don't think so. It's very unlikely.
Based on this evidence found in Ephesus, these remains are the first gladiator bones recovered ever.
That was a clue.
They prove that despite the fact that gladiators' lives were often spared, it was still a violent game which could result in fatal injuries. Fabian thinks that forensic analysis of the warriors' bones could reveal even more about their lifestyle. The iconic imagery of the gladiatorial games has survived over 2,000 years. Now Dr. Fabian Kahns and I are heading to a forensic lab to analyze genuine gladiator bones that could reveal new information about these legendary warriors.
We do the dirty work over here.
Fabian has brought me to the Medical University of Vienna, where gladiator remains found in Ephesus have been brought for testing.
So we need to collect a sample from these bones.
Yeah.
Just cut away.
Cut away.
Okay. The dust is okay?
The dust is okay.
Not contaminating anything?
You will become a gladiator.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that a bone could reveal facts lost to history for almost 2,000 years.
So this is our little piece of gladiator bone.
Yeah.
But before we can run our tests, we need to pulverize our sample.
Close the protection and go for it.
This rock crusher grinds our sample to mere particles of dust.
Okay, next.
You like to burn it, Josh, or should I burn it?
Oh, can I? As much as
you can.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect.
Now you can really smell it.
Yeah. Burnt bone.
It's like the dentist.
The cooking process has reduced the bone to pure minerals. And now, we're ready to run some tests.
We will measure now the bone with a so-called ICP.
This is the ICP?
This is the ICP. It's like a super Bunsen burner because it's very hot and therefore it's a lot of energy.
So the spectrometer in here is now analyzing the gladiator bone.
Exactly.
And we're looking for what right now? What do we think?
We are looking for the strontium level in the gladiator bone.
What does strontium tell us about a person?
We know that strontium is a good indicator for the diet of the individual.
So by analyzing the bones, we can see the diet of the gladiators.
Yeah.
And compare that to the other people at Ephesus.
Yeah.
And that shows up.
Yeah.
Now, how long? Instantly?
Instantly.
Yeah?
We can go over there.
We got data now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check it out.
You see the red line is the sample we just measured. As you can see, this bunch of lines down there, they are from normal citizen. And these high levels, they are all from the gladiator bone.
Why do we think the gladiators have such high strontium levels?
This tells us that the gladiators ate a lot of vegetarian food in comparison to the normal Ephesian population.
So you're saying that gladiators were vegetarians?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, seriously? Gladiators are vegetarian?
Yeah, I think.
But most people, when they think of gladiators, athletes, muscular men who are doing hard labor, they'd be eating meat.
We have written sources that they said they had got a nickname, Badyari, which means barley eater. This diet is described as mainly barley and beans.
It's a fascinating discovery that fits in with their slave-like status. Meat was expensive, so gladiators were given grain, nutritious yet cheap. But Fabian says that additional forensic analysis could tell us even more about a gladiator's lifestyle.
We know how he died?
No, we don't know how he died.
Okay.
But we know that he had a bad fight, and he has 2 stab wounds here and here, which have been
So this was...
wounds.
So, but if someone got hit like this, we would expect a lot of blood. This is a pretty good injury, right?
For the audience, I think it's a pretty good injury, but it was not fatal. And because this is it's very good healed and it's very smooth, there must be some wound cleansing after the accident. Otherwise, it would have been an inflammatory process, and then you would have a complete other appearance.
So looking at the degree of wound cleaning and then healing, you can see that this person was taken care of.
Not just care, excellent care.
Excellent care.
Excellent care.
Once again, the paradox of the gladiators is shown.
And changing of color.
The care that we see here that the gladiators are getting, how does that compare with the care of the average person in Ephesus?
You can say that the gladiators had nearly the same medical treatment as the really upper class in Ephesus.
So the best quality medical
Best quality, best doctor.
All of the bones show that the gladiator was, despite being a slave, when it came to medical care, they got the best possible treatment.
This proves that gladiators had real value in Roman society. And where money was involved, so was power. So what changed and caused the downfall of the gladiator games? My quest to separate Hollywood's myth from gladiator reality has uncovered the story of slaves living in a world of contradictions.
Life.
Legendary warriors, worth more alive than dead, they played a significant part in Roman life, packing amphitheaters throughout the empire. So why did the sport die out? I'm heading to the site of the ancient Roman city of Thysdrus, hoping to find some answers.
I've crossed the Mediterranean and come into North Africa. Here in Tunisia, this was the southern edge of the Roman Empire and the site of one of their most incredible amphitheaters.
The amphitheater at El Jem is a remarkable piece of Roman architecture. It now stands as a monument to the rise and fall of the gladiatorial games.
So, this was built when?
Beginning of the 3rd century AD.
Roman historian David Baumgartner has studied this structure and the deadly battles that took place within.
This is the path that the gladiator would have walked before he entered the arena.
Here we are.
The arena of death.
So if we were here back in the day, this was the last thing you would see.
Death or glory.
Hopefully glory.
Seating roughly 30,000 spectators, this amphitheater was the 3rd largest in the Roman Empire. Its immense size enabled officials in the province to put on huge shows. And now, David's giving me a backstage pass. Or in this case, a below-ground pass.
So now we're in the bowels of
The
El Jem.
subterranean structures deep beneath the arena. This is where all the special effects, all the magic happened. The Hollywood element of the spectacles. There would have been a veritable army of public slaves that would have attended to the functions down here. It would have been much darker, torch lit, You have to imagine the roar of the animals in their cages, the stench, the confusion.
So the people who were managing the arena, not unlike managing a circus below ground.
Absolutely. There were incredible resources down here, trying to be organized and channeled into a spectacle. And it would all come to a focus right here. You would have a group of slaves with a capstan twirling around to shoot a cage of animals up into the arena, where they would dramatically appear.
Much to the delight of all the fans.
Much to the delight of the spectators. And no expense was spared. I mean, in modern terms, a really top-class gladiatorial combat would have cost $2 million.
$2 million for just one day?
Absolutely, just for one day.
Are people paying for their seats upstairs?
No, this was a gift. There was no recouping the loss. It was complete and utter write-off. It was pure status.
And I would assume some sort of political capital.
Absolutely. You couldn't expect to be a successful politician unless you could deliver a first-rate spectacle.
David tells me the man organizing the events was known as the editor. He served as the game's master of ceremonies and made the final decision on the losing gladiator's fate.
Where do we think?
Hello! Thank you for coming. Enjoy the show.
Or something like that. That's probably what they were saying, though.
Very appropriate.
So the editor, who's not just sitting or standing here, but who's in effect paid for this lavish spectacle, hopes what will occur?
He hopes to achieve preeminent popularity with the people that are attending the spectacle. He hopes to achieve their political support, and he hopes to achieve preeminent status in his community.
And if things go well, he knows because the crowd's happy.
He'll hear it. I mean, they'll cheer, they'll call his name, they will congratulate him.
And if things weren't going well, would the editor know about it?
Absolutely. You'd hear loud and clear if they were unhappy about anything. And if there were burning social issues that they felt he was responsible for and he could do something about, they would certainly, if enough of them started to take up a chant, they could make themselves heard, and it would be very uncomfortable.
So the key to political gain here was through the gladiators there.
In a word, yes.
Which is why everyone took such good care of them.
Absolutely.
But it still doesn't answer my question.
Been wondering if the gladiatorial games were such a big hit, why did they ever end? David says the answer can be found here.
Here is Udna, one of the most important ancient sites in all Tunisia.
Josh, I've brought you here to Udna, to the Capitolium, the temple of Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. This illustrates the central importance of religion in Roman life. Every single aspect of Roman life would have been dominated by religion, religious observances and sacrifices.
Including the gladiator games.
Absolutely. The gladiators are a great example of religious sacrifice.
In fact, historical evidence suggests that the gladiatorial games slowly replaced the practice of human sacrifice between 300 and 200 BC, a time when the spilling of human blood was viewed as a means to appease the spirits.
So beyond the political realm of gladiator games, there's now a religious, spiritual realm.
Absolutely. It's a layer cake with lots of different meanings.
David tells me it was this close connection with religion that eventually struck the final blow to the gladiator.
North Africa is an excellent example of a seedbed for Christianity, the new religion. By the end of the 2nd century AD, Christianity, because it was growing so quickly, was seen as a real threat to the heart and soul of Roman civilization.
This fueled a fear of the new religion. Roman Christians who refused to swear allegiance to the emperor and worship him as a god were sent to the amphitheaters and torn apart by lions. But the growth of Christianity could not be stopped. And as the influence of Christians rose, their aversion to the entertainment provided by the arena's deadly games could not be ignored.
This is an underground shrine to the Christian martyrs. So many Christians were martyred in North Africa that chapels like this sprang up all over the place. The death of the martyrs generated an enthusiasm for martyrdom on a wide scale, particularly in North Africa.
So through martyrdom, Christianity is gaining power.
And adherents in important places. More and more top people are becoming Christians. And therefore the smart money among the elite started to become Christian.
In October of 325 AD, Constantine, the first Christian emperor, issued an official statement against the gladiatorial games. This marked the beginning of the end for the sport most associated with the Roman Empire.
It was a slow process. As more and more of the empire become Christianized and more of the citizens are Christians, Christian charity replaces the kind of gladiatorial spectacle spending.
And so the Christians then would prefer that instead of spending money on the games, the money is spent on what? Churches like this?
Yes, into charitable donations for the Christian church at large, support of orphans, the poor.
So for over 600 years, these games, the gladiatorial games, grew into the spectacle of the arena. Politics was involved, religion was involved, and now, come 3rd, 4th century, Christianity is strong enough to say, those games served a purpose, but we have a new game plan, and it's all about the church and God.
That's right. Put your money where your heart is, where your soul is.
Wow, I see none of this is in Hollywood.
No.
No, really? I mean, where did this story come from?
By following in the gladiators' footsteps from Rome to the far reaches of the once great empire, I've been able to separate historical facts from Hollywood theatrics. And along the way, I've learned that these legendary warriors achieved a level of honor and admiration never before or since awarded to slaves. The gladiatorial games may have come to an end, but history will always revere the people who fought in these great arenas, the gladiators.